Roboteers, stand by.
I never know how to start these.
However you want to do it, Jim Bob. Be like, welcome to the Robot Wars Tubecast or something like that.
We had that joke last week, Mark.
I know.
Activate.
Yes, hello, welcome. Episode number 4 this is of the Robot Wars podcast that we're producing, and it's only me and Mark this week.
It is.
So thank you for joining me, Mark.
Thank you much again for having me, Jim Bob.
That's absolutely fine. We're in a different recording environment today as well, because we're at your house instead of my house.
Yeah, we're in my studio, my living room.
Your living room studio. And yeah, it's just me and you.
Yep, Adam's working today, so it's just
Cat's in bed. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just the two of us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. So we have watched episode number 3 of Robot Wars, haven't we, Mark?
We have, yes. It was a good episode too.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a tactical episode. There wasn't really a lot of destruction. It was more, I'd say, more cerebral. There was a lot more thoughts in the way how competitors attacked, and yeah, we will be going through every fight and we will be analysing them like we do every week. Fight 1 we had a robot called Glitter Bomb, which was captained by a little 9-year-old girl, which I thought was quite unique. It's interesting to see little girls getting involved in robotics, because it's quite a male-orientated sort of sport, would you say? I mean, quite a lot of it's very man-heavy. Is that the right term to use?
Yeah,
man-heavy.
yeah. It's very like, when you think of people, you'd think more than being male than rather than being females. But I think it's pretty cool that you have it. Gives it more variety. More like, actually, it's not just all blokes. Women can do it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and well, little girls as well. She said that she designed the colour scheme for Glitter Bomb, the pink and black and sparkles. Yeah. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, and it made it look really badass as well, because even though it was pink and glittery, it still looked pretty cool.
It stood out, didn't it?
Yeah. I actually wanted Glitter Bomb to do really well, actually.
Yeah, I thought Glitter Bomb would have done really well. They had a very powerful axe, they said that, but they said that this new style one, the one that they had on the robot, was untested.
Ooh,
so
you should never do that. Always make sure you test out your equipment just before you go on Robot Wars. That's the one thing I've learned from all the weeks of watching the show. When people do new things and haven't tested it, 9 times out of 10 it never works.
9 times out of 10, that's right. Yeah, so this little girl, she did an interview on BBC Newsround earlier in the week with one of the reporters talking about her robot, and she said that it's good to get little girls interested in that sort of thing, into robotics and electronics, mechanics, that sort of stuff. And the reason why she wanted to be part of Robot Wars is because she wanted to watch grown men cry. And I thought that was... you can probably find that interview on iPlayer or on YouTube or something.
That
but
absolutely hilarious.
She was adamant that she wanted to make grown men cry like little girls.
Respect.
Yeah, respect to little April there. Overdoser we had, which was...
Oh, the one made out of wood.
Made out of MDF.
So funny.
Made out of wood.
I actually wanted him to do well and go on, because it was just like, this is a crazy robot. And also the guy was wearing, one of the peeps was wearing a Nirvana shirt. So I was like, I like you even more. So yeah, I like Nirvana. It was like Team Spirit. Great song.
It was made out of wood, and they had a petrol engine which powered their weapon, which didn't really
Nah, and also it's like petrol, potential fire with wood.
Yeah,
burn. It's
more fire.
Yeah, more fire. I was like, okay.
They apparently built it in about 5 days before.
They built it in 5 days before?
But no. They built it in 5 days altogether.
Oh, okay, because I'm about to say, it seems weird, like, how would they get onto the show if they build it in 5 days? Did they have another robot? Then be like, we're going to make another robot, then not making that one. So it's like, you got a different robot to what you had before. It's like... Well, you know, we wanted to be unique.
And they entered the one made of wood.
Yes. It's like they had this badass metal one and the one made of wood. Let's be funny. Let's put in the one with that made out of wood.
Yeah, they had a petrol engine and it was made of wood, and they apparently painted it the day before it was supposed to fight. So the green paint job was done probably 24 hours before, or in that 24 hours before. Dara O'Brien wished them luck with their cabinet.
Yeah.
Cabinet going into battle. Thought that was...
Well, I love that man. He's so good.
I admire their guts. I admire their... They know that they were entering a wooden robot into Robot Wars.
Yeah, it just shows we don't care. Everyone else has metal. Everyone else has strong aluminium and other stuff. And it's just like, we're going to put in a robot made of wood. So it's like, yeah, you guys, Overdozer, you have my respect.
Yep, and we had a robot called King B Remix. King B actually used to fight... I think they originally started fighting in Series 2, so probably back in 1999. King Buxton, as they were called back then.
Okay.
Very similar design robot, flat box with 4 wheels and spikes. They continued fighting up until Series 6 or 7, or definitely the later series. They used to have massive control issues. I can remember one fight that they were in the old series of Robot Wars. They control to their motors meant that they were spinning wildly out of control and were like bouncing around on the arena walls, and it's like watching a pinball.
Sounds pretty fun, actually. Might go back and watch it.
It's a very interesting fight, that one. It shows you how powerful King B was back then, but they didn't have any control, and I think they lost that fight. But yeah, check that one out. And we also had a robot called Dantomkia, which, to, again, old Robot Wars fans, Dantomkia was built by a guy called Michael Lambert, named after his 3 sons, Daniel, Thomas, and Kira. And they came in Series 6, and they knocked out Chaos 2. DantomK.I.A ended Chaos 2's reign. And in that series, Chaos 2 failed to make the semi-finals. So, very seriously powerful robot, wiped the floor with Chaos 2, and, you know, Chaos 2 was properly mega powerful back then.
No, yeah, I remember Chaos 2 would literally wipe the floor with every single person. He was literally like, win. So when he told me that robot beat it, I was like, that's really surprising.
I suppose it was kind of almost the beginning of the end for Chaos 2 then. I mean, because Chaos 2 was relatively unchanged robot for quite a number of years, and weight increased on certain robots, and you know, the flipper wasn't as powerful, and then DantomK.I.A came in and flipped Chaos 2 out of the arena, and Chaos 2 famously was the first robot to ever flip another robot out of the arena back in Series 3 when they flipped Firestorm out. So they kind of, in a almost ironic sense, they got their comeuppance in the way that they dealt it. So so DantomK.I.A, very good robot, now in the possession of a team called Team S-Tech. Michael Lambert sold DantomK.I.A to this Team S-Tech, and now they fight DantomK.I.A as their own machine now. You know, they've upgraded it to be compliant with the rules now. So that was our first 4 fighters, and the first fight, we had Matilda in the CPZ, in the corner patrol zone.
Get on, Matilda.
Immediately we saw Glitterbomb try and get an attack in on DantomK.I.A. That axe rained down once or twice and kind of lost the power after that, Glitterbomb.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
King B got an attack on Overdozer as well. Overdozer being made of wood, they automatically lost a caster, one of their front wheels.
So that was just literally immobilised, couldn't move at all, and then it was just slim pickings and literally was being destroyed. And
Overdozer, made of wood, kind of expected that to happen. You know, these robots are made out of very hard steel and, you know, very tough metals. And you enter a wooden robot, you're gonna be picked to pieces, really, aren't you?
Totally, man. Totally. It's just like you kind of be like going into the slaughterhouse, really, aren't you? It's just
exactly, like a lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah, lamb to the slaughterhouse. It's like, here's a robot made of wood. Enjoy. I was like, all the other ones are like, dinner, yeah, kind of thing, isn't it?
DantomK.I.A got a good flip on Glitter Bomb as well. Glitter Bombs, because their axe wasn't firing, they couldn't really self-right onto their wheels.
And I felt really bad for the girl. She was like going, run away. Like, we're doing this, isn't it? It's just like, yeah.
She was getting really into it, but it was kind of sad, really, because Glitter Bomb had been bigged up quite a lot in, like, before matches, especially on, like, Facebook and Twitter. Like, Glitter Bomb's going to destroy and maim, and they got flipped by Dantomkia. Ended upside down, and because their axe couldn't fire, there was a problem with their gas supply to the ram that fires the axe. They couldn't get back onto their wheels, and so as soon as they were upside down, that was it.
Pretty much.
And King B, they didn't really do much more than knock out Overdoser.
No, they all just like did that bit and they were running. But then again, with it being a 4-way, it's kind of like, okay, let the other robots fight each other. We'll just move away. And
so like I say,
and then they went up going through, which is like, then again, it's clever though. Like if you know the other robots are basically under D very well, it's like I would do that, save the robot, and then attack properly the next round.
Exactly. So maybe they were doing it tactically, save themselves for later rounds, but they got through, although they didn't really do much apart from take off that front wheel of Overdoser. And
but then with Overdoser, even though it's made of wood, as soon as it did that, it's just like, but hey, at least they can say they knocked out a robot, so.
Yeah. And did you know how long Overdoser lasted in that?
23 seconds.
23 seconds.
I remember Darby after the fight said, do you know how long he lasted? I don't know how long. 23 seconds. I was like, you could tell by their faces, they were like,
well, they weren't. Yeah, you kind of have to take that with a pinch of salt because they entered a robot made of wood.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty good though for a robot made of wood, considering you have saws that can destroy like many thousands RPM, flippers, and all that other stuff. It's mad. The fact that he lasted 23 seconds with a robot that probably and even to get onto the show in the first place,
exactly,
made of wood, is still pretty impressive. I mean, picture what it could have potentially have beaten to even get onto the show.
As if they did. I don't know if they did qualifiers for this series. I know that they definitely used to do qualifiers for older series.
I'm guessing they would have done, considering they're going on national television. But then again, maybe they thought the fact is you're a robot made of wood. Let's put you straight into the finals because it's really interesting and maybe
I
that
suppose
sort of thing as well.
Maybe because Robot Wars tended to have a lot of comedy robots, so robots that would purposely be put in just to be entertaining.
I mean, look at the robot in the first week.
Nuts! Yeah, that was supposedly a comedy robot, and they managed to get through to the next stage. And
I know, which is surprising.
So it proves that it can be done if you've got the right mentality. But wood in an arena full of fire and like spinning weapons and stuff like that.
I guess they wanted to be outrageous and adventurous, and also the curiosity factor, like how long potentially can wood last. And
we found out it's 23 seconds.
23 seconds apparently. Then again, they might, if they did really well, they could have lasted the whole match. But then again, having a petrol engine with wood wasn't really the best combination because fire with wood, burn.
I thought it was a shame that it didn't go up in flames.
Yeah,
I was expecting it to burn, but it got shattered, didn't it? On that last attack by Dantomkia, where they came in with their flipper and just like flipped off that top lid. That was brilliant.
It was so good,
it was entertaining, but no, didn't really stand a chance. But yeah, kudos to them for entering a cabinet.
Yep.
And then
a
wooden cabinet, yeah. IKEA is definitely not the place to go for robot building materials.
Not at all, no.
And then our next fight, the next four were Supernova, and they originally used to fight in original Robot Wars. So they beefed up their robot. They've got a horizontal spinning disc. They didn't used to do too badly in the old series, and they used to have a few good matches, but they didn't really get any further than the heats. So
yeah, because I don't remember their name at all. Actually, when you were saying that, I was like some robots you said before, I remember their names and stuff. But that one, is a name that I really don't remember.
Like, as Robot Wars geek, like I like seeing them return. It just gives you that hope that they've beefed up their robot, and like they used to do like a little bit of damage in the old series. You just think, they're going to be vastly improved now, and it kind of fared all right in this match, but we'll go on to that in a minute. But yeah, they returned back from original Robot Wars. TR2 was the next robot that we got introduced to.
That was a good robot.
It was a powerful flipper on that one.
Really
TR2,
powerful flipper.
I think they entered another robot in the live shows called Tomb Raider. And
I was wondering why it was called TR2.
TR2.
Tomb Raider 2.
Tomb Raider. That's why it's painted black and white. Because Newcastle playing black and white.
Oh, Toon. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Tomb.
No, Tomb Raider.
Oh, Tomb Raider. Oh, yeah. Newcastle do play in black and white. Yeah, I was wondering why it was played in black and white. It's really interesting, actually.
So TR2 was the successor to Tomb Raider, which fought in the live shows, in the Robot Wars touring show.
Did they do really well with Tomb Raider 2?
Yeah, they have another robot called Tiny Toon, which is a lighter one, and they fight in the lightweight championships, the middleweight ones, I think.
That's an awesome name.
And that has got a seriously powerful flipper, and they always do really well. Similar design, just a little bit smaller. So yeah, TR2, like black and white, they normally do really well at live events, and so no surprise that they managed to get into this series of Robot Wars.
Oh yeah, totally.
Next robot was called Orte. That was a silver wedge-shaped robot. Interesting fact, the driver and captain of Orte, Ian Watts, had another robot in Robot Wars called Bigger Brother. And Bigger Brother used to do really, really well. They got to the Series 5 final and only just lost to Razor. So
that's pretty impressive to get to the final.
They beat Hypnodisc, Bigger Brother did.
Oh yeah, I think I watched that match actually, Hypnodisc losing. That's pretty impressive to even beat Hypnodisc. They were really good. Ian Watts was a fantastic driver. He used to bring his kids along, so little Joe Watts was the weapons operator, and then later his little sister Ellie used to come along as well. And that's cool.
Yep, Ian Watts, like amazing robot designer. He's designed loads of them. Like Jonathan Pierce said, he designed a robot that eats crisps.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. I was just like, did I hear correctly? Did he just say a robot that eats crisps?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. It reminds me of Bender from Futurama, except crisps, he drinks beer, so,
So, yeah, Ian Watts, properly good roboteer, and, is expecting a little bit more from Orte, but, well, again, we'll go on to that in a minute. And then finally, Big Nipper, who had an interchangeable weapon system. So they entered this fight with a spinning disc. Yeah. Spinning disc saw thing. And
I thought it was actually quite a clever sort of strategic kind of thing to do that, where depending on the opponent you're fighting, they would change up the weapon to then be like, if it's a one they could use a spinning disc, if it's another one they use the other weapon for. I thought it's really clever actually. Kind of gave it more a strategic kind of feel.
Yeah, so they could kind of
as well.
Match up who they're going up against and change their weapon accordingly. And later they changed it to their original weapon, which is a crushing pair of pincers.
Yeah.
Big Nipper were champions outside of Robot Wars. They won a couple of championships, and they were properly good robot and very solidly built as well. Look good, and yeah, Big Nipper.
Yeah.
So fight began. Sir Killalot came into the arena, as big as he is, and
he's a cool robot. I like Sir Killalot.
Yeah, no one messes with Sir Killalot.
Nah, him and Matilda are my two favourites.
And Supernova got in the first hit on Orte and completely knocked them out.
Yeah.
First hit, bam, Orte was gone. Apparently a problem with their safety link. You know what a safety link is?
Yeah.
It's, for those of you who don't know, it's a basically a removable cartridge, or it can be a removable cartridge, that is designed on combat robots to be able to pull out easily. and it will completely kill the electronics in a robot. So you pull that out, that is basically a ultimate knockout. And so a removable link, it just makes a robot safe. So you don't want something with a high-powered spinning weapon going mad if something goes wrong with the controls.
Oh yeah, totally not.
You need something to be able to yank out at a moment's notice to completely kill that robot. And that's what Supernova must have dislodged on Orte. And as soon as that link had gone, they were kaput. Sitting ducks. They were out.
They were completely out.
They were out. So then Supernova and Big Nipper started going at each other. So you had a horizontal disc against a vertical disc.
That was a pretty cool battle. That was pretty cool.
And that was,
Sparks will fly,
Sparks were flying. They were.
Yeah.
They were properly flying in that. And Supernova apparently lost some of their blades. They apparently sheared through 10 bolts. So you think the amount of power that was exerted on that weapon to rip off the little blades on the edge of that disc. Ooh, that was.
And also, it was a robot as well, wasn't it? That they said if it's the blades on too long, it will then destroy the robot as well. So
that was Big Nipper. That's what they said as they was going around the pits. If Big Nipper would charge that weapon up for a little bit too long, it would just go out of control and it would totally destroy itself. But we didn't see that. We didn't see it destroy itself. But
that is true.
Because the team members daren't do that sort of thing.
Not at all.
TR2 didn't get any flips on in that fight. They were purely going in basically weaponless, but they just managed to get the rams on and shove the other robots around, and that was enough to send them through.
Yeah, because even without their weapon, just by them barging into them and doing that, I thought was pretty good
against
actually.
the wall especially.
Yeah. And also, by being quite a big robot, they were able to use their power of the size to then barge at smaller ones.
I mean, it was a shame that they didn't have the power in the flipper to get it working, but they got through tactically again, I suppose.
We saw the devastation of the flipper in the other matches, so it's like, maybe in a sense, them not having the flipper kind of helped them, because in the later match, people were like, oh, can't wait to see the flipper. When it did see the flipper, everyone was just like, that's cool.
An interesting thing what happens with robots with spinning discs is that they create a gyroscopic effect, which means that they're hard to control, and when they do go out of control, if that disc is spinning incredibly fast, it will propel the robot in directions that you're not really expecting. So Supernova, they went, I think they got flipped.
They got flipped, but then you also had Big Nipper nearly fall into the pit as well because of their spinning.
Yeah, so there was something going on there. Big Nipper lost control and they almost ended up down the pit themselves. Mm-hmm. I thought Supernova was going to go down the pit just slightly before, and TR2 you could see them just rearing up, ready to push them in, but neither of them went down until Supernova got flipped onto their side.
And then it was on the flip side, and because they couldn't control the spinning disc saw thing, they were like jumped a couple times, then went into the pit.
Yeah, the power of their disc kind of propelled them straight down because they didn't have any control. That was their downfall, and
completely.
So they were knocked out as well. So TR2 went through without really. We didn't see the true potential of their flipper.
No, not till later on.
So did Big Nipper, and we saw in the pits the amount of damage that was done on their weapon mount. The entire bulkhead of that was bent, and I could only assume that was done by Supernova.
Yeah.
So the spin from Supernova's weapon knocked and dislodged the bulkhead of that vertical spinning disc.
Because they did go straight head on several times, or you did see the sparks, so maybe them going head on too many times then damaged their weapon and stuff, which is, So, yeah, Supernova did have a bit of power behind that disc, but it's a shame it wasn't really utilised very well. Yeah.
So, yeah, that sent TR2 and Big Nipper through to the next stage. Mm-hmm. And then we was on to our head-to-heads. So the first fight of that was DantomK.I.A versus King B remix. I don't know if you saw in this, but I definitely pointed it out to you. There was a little DantomK.I.A toy on the top.
Yes, I was going to say, what was that for?
The toy was like released when Original Robot Wars was on, and I've seen it be converted into a little robot, but this one was completely different. I sent a tweet to Team S-Tech and asked them, I thought it was a daft question, but if the toy DantomK.I.A operated the flipper. And later on in the episode, you can see one of the team members, Mr. Stew, his name is, he's got in his hand that little toy DantomK.I.A, and it's connected to the transmitter, the controller. And I got a reply back, and they said, yes, it's an original DantomK.I.A toy, which has been modified, so when Mr. Stew presses the flipper on the back, it flips the actual robot.
That's awesome.
I thought that was really good.
That sounds really, really funny. That's really, really cool.
And then they sent a tweet later showing it connected up to the controller. I thought that was really really neat, that was. Definitely unique.
Oh yeah, definitely unique. Then again, with Robot Wars and that kind of thing, it's like, even in any like sport or like go back to wrestling or a UFC and stuff, unique is the thing that people always remember. Like you having the generic like someone else and someone who's unique, that's the one you always remember, isn't it?
And during that little segment where they were talking about DantomK.I.A, they said that they were a group of amateurs. They had no mechanical or engineering background, but having possession of DantomK.I.A, who was sold to them, it taught them how to weld, taught them about pneumatics, electronics. So, having that fully built robot to then upgrade themselves. Okay, they didn't build it, but they definitely improved it to be compliant with the standards today. It taught them quite a lot, and I find that quite interesting.
And they did pretty well as well in that fight as well, actually.
Against King B, yeah. I mean, King B was, because it's a small box on wheels, it had quite a lot of clearance between the bottom and the arena floor, so DantomK.I.A could easily get under. And yeah, that was quite a short match. DantomK.I.A came in, there was a few hits. DantomK.I.A got pinned on them spikes for a short moment, and then they managed to get a good charge and a good flip on, and they got King B wedged between the pit release button and the sidewall. And well, King B weren't moving after that.
Not at all. It was completely immobilised after that, wasn't it? It was crazy. Couldn't even move anything.
Nope. And then Matilda came in, knocked them straight out of the arena.
Yeah, that was cool.
She flipped them out. So
good old Matilda.
Put them out of their misery there.
I was saying to you when we were watching the show, I love to see the shot of the people controlling the house robots to see what they look like and stuff, because that'd be really, really cool.
The house robots are made by a team called Robo Challenge. They make robots for like TV shows. They do animatronics. And they also have their own fighting championships with the Fighting Robots Association.
Oh, wicked.
So apparently the story goes that they built and designed the new house robots. Yeah, there's a small group of them, and they were split up into teams, and they each made a house robot. So one team made Shunt, another team made Matilda, and another one made Dead Metal. And then they all came together to make Sir Kill-A-Lot in the end. So yeah, Robo Challenge, they were the ones responsible for upgrading the house robots.
Awesome.
And they're really experienced in that sort of stuff. They know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, totally, man. Especially for BBC as well.
And then after the fight, we saw King B team. They said that they broke one of their drivetrains, and apparently 1.6 tons of force can be withstood on that chain. And that ram on DantomK.I.A snapped it. So you think 1.6 tons
I know.
On a chain. It was quite serious force on that.
Yeah, no, because I remember TR2 could flip a small car.
That's what they said. They said TR2 could flip a small car. And
it shows how powerful these robots are to do that.
Behemoth, they uploaded a video a couple of weeks ago of them lifting a car. Like, seriously, you can see the power on that bucket scoop. I'll have to show it to you. It's really quite something. King B didn't really stand a chance in that, did they? If they got that one good charge in from DantomK.I.A, got wedged between the sidewall, couldn't get out. That was a quick match, but
completely gone. But
very, very good driving on DantomK.I.A's part. I thought that was a good charge, and they knew what to do. Good. Our next fight was TR2 versus Big Nipper. So Big Nipper had replaced their weapon, their
With
sword,
the claw.
with them massive jaws. You saw in that,
Or the
that
jaws, sorry. Dun, 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 dun,
In
dun,
that-
dun, 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 dun. Sorry. You did say jaws, so I had to put that little joke in.
And you saw in their promo bit in that segment how it could withstand that heavy sledgehammer hit, and you could see it crush that dustbin. That was really good. And just how much technicality went into building Big Nipper. It looked almost artistic with the gears and all them holes punctured through it for saving weight. It looked really good, and it's kind of shame that they didn't really get in much of a good attack on this fight, because TR2
was dominating and completely swashed him as well. It was crazy as how literally first second going in, storming in, barging in, flipping. It's like,
yeah, they got them.
They finally got the flipper working, and my God, was that flipper good.
They got a good few hits in on Big Nipper, throwing them into the CPZ where Dead Metal was. Metal was. So, TR2's big flipping power came out in that match. They got some really good flips on Big Nipper. Very controlled, threw them into CPZs where Dead Metal was waiting. Yeah, Dead Metal got in a few sore attacks, so it's just a shame really, because Big Nipper was, like I say, was champions in the touring shows. It's a shame they couldn't really get that force out. So, although it was a number of years ago, so maybe the improvement of the robots here just shows how good they really.
Yeah. And also as well, then again, on the day, maybe the robot did really well. I mean, some of the robots you would think did really well because obviously their equipment and stuff breaking down. It's harder for them to do really well as well. Maybe that's another thing as well. You got to remember, like even though the robotics has improved so much, like when you're a weapon, like look at the first 2 weeks, that robot we thought did really well because their weapon didn't work. They were screwed.
Which robot was that?
The one that did really well the first fight in the second week, and then literally all the rest of the fights just couldn't do well at all because they couldn't get their weapon to the speed they needed to get it to then do really well.
Mr. Speed Squared, the spinning one. Yeah, they did really well in their first fight, and
that's another thing as well. It doesn't matter how good the robotics of your robot is if you can't use your weapon, which is why TR2 was really lucky, because obviously being one of the bigger robots, it could use its power. But if you're a smaller robot and you needed that weapon, you would be technically be screwed.
Yeah, I mean, Big Nip was apparently the heaviest robot in that fight.
Yeah,
and TR2 still managed to get some good flips on in that, and
then again, being able to flip a small car about 1.5 tons, maybe to 2 tons, was pretty impressive.
It is impressive, but I didn't think their flipper looked as powerful as what it could be. And this is definitely the probably
looks can be deceiving, my friend.
But I've seen TR2 fight, and they are properly powerful when they are in the arena. And apparently, from what I've heard, because the studio in Glasgow where they filmed it is very cold, it reacts with the CO2. The heat reacts with the CO2, and it doesn't give as much power, which is probably why both DantomK.I.A and TR2 didn't come across as like the potential is a lot more when they're in a warmer environment. And because it's so cold in that warehouse, they couldn't get in their attacks because it was affecting the CO2 canisters on their rams.
But then again, for a robot to not be able to use its attacks as much as it wanted to, it still did pretty well.
It did do pretty well. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. They did manage to do very well, and they put Big Nipper in the pit in the end.
Yeah, they did.
They got a good attack in, and they pitted Big Nipper. They put them out. So yeah. Our next fight was DantomKia versus TR2. So
that was the fight I wanted to watch. So I said to you, I was like, "Ooh, it was a good fight."
And so two flippers against each other, and you think very evenly matched machines. Similar wedges, similar weapons. I would say I mean, I favoured DantomK.I.A throughout this because, well, like I say, DantomK.I.A put Chaos 2 out of the competition originally, and so, there was a very good machine. But unfortunately, DantomK.I.A had a bit of a gap. They had a higher ground clearance, and TR2 managed to get under and flip them and flip them and flip them. And
yeah, it was crazy just how, like, you would think it would be very evenly matched, but it was just TR2 was just like, yeah, as you saying.
TR2 was on top in the entirely in that match.
Even from the first millisecond of that fight, TR2 was in there underneath DantomK.I.A, and it was just like insane.
Which is a shame, really, because again, like I say, with the temperature affecting the weapons, DantomK.I.A did manage to get in underneath TR2, but they didn't really have the power to do anything substantial.
And also because after a few flips, it then immobilized, because obviously with the amount of flips that TR2 was doing onto DantomK.I.A, then literally it got immobilized because it kept on flipping itself back up to.
When DantomK.I.A did get flips over first, and they self-righted back onto the wheels. So stylish the way how it just did it. It was over and then back on its wheels again.
And the height as well it got as well with the flip. It was insane. It's the height, wasn't it? For a robot that weighs a couple £100, the fact it could flip up to maybe several feet is crazy. Just the power of that flipper.
So it did show us how powerful DantomK.I.'s flipper was.
Yeah.
It worked.
It just was unlucky to go against TR2, which was a beast of a robot.
Yeah, they weren't. It was that ground clearance, the fact that TR2 could get their wedge in underneath and, get under DantomK.I.A and just keep going over.
TR2 destroyed DantomK.I.A, so
yeah, which was quite sad, really, because I really thought DantomK.I.A would have done really well on that. But they didn't have any more flips left in their flipper, and they couldn't self-right.
And then they got immobilized, completely gone. I was like, cease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the team captain took his anger out on the robot, didn't he? He pulled out a hammer. Damn you!
Yeah.
Give it a few whacks. But, again, I think that was playing up to the cameras like the other week.
Yeah, it would have totally played out for the cameras.
And then next fight was Big Nipper versus King B. Two very similar robots, box on wheels, kind of. They brought out their spinning disc again, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Big Nipper was more powerful on that. They got their attacks on and went for that back plastic panel on King B, didn't they? And shards of plastic were raining down.
Oh, that was quite funny, actually. That was pretty cool. Same with the first fight where we were talking earlier with the wood. You had the shards of wood lost flying in the air. It was pretty cool.
I mean, even with Big Nipper being pinned on that spike early on in the fight, they kind of clawed it back.
They did actually, it was quick.
And again, that pesky safety link they knocked out because it was in a really awkward place.
Yeah.
And they again, King B was immobilized, and Big Nipper did like a celebratory spin, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah. So, and you made a good point. It was all flat out knockouts throughout the entire episode, wasn't it? We hadn't had a judge's decision.
Not by
all
that
of
point,
these
no.
robots.
Yeah, we only had in the whole episode one judge's decision. Every other fight was literally elimination win, isn't it? It was crazy.
A knockout.
Yeah.
That put King B at the bottom of the table, didn't it?
Yeah. Bye to poor old King B.
And then that kind of put King B up against TR2. And TR2 was a lot more tactical on that. They knew what to do. They knew how to keep the balance of their power to King B's, because King B had a lot of pushing power, but again, like I say, it hasn't really been utilised, hasn't been used. And again, TR2 getting the flips in, throwing King B over and over and over again. King B didn't really do much in this fight. Again.
Yeah, against TR2, it's like TR2 is a beast, mate.
And TR2 managed to get in them attacks, throw King B into Kill-A-Lot CPZ. Kill-A-Lot picked them up, put them over the flames.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I think the damage that was caused in the previous fight against Big Nipper, King B was was on their way out, and
then TR2 won comfortably,
Yep.
3-0.
Put them down the pit. Yeah, TR2 were doing really well, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then that was another kind of short battle. TR2 knew exactly what to do, and they did it.
Oh, yeah, completely, man.
Yep.
I mean, you know.
As soon as they were
You don't win
immobilised.
3-0 for nothing, you know, or 4-0 technically for nothing. So
as soon as King B was immobilised, they just got rid of them.
Yeah.
Put them out of the misery again.
They did, down the pit.
Down the pit.
And you had the crowd, as soon as the pit opens, like, pit, 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 pit. It's really cool. Sounds like I'm saying pit. I said pit, not pip. Pit.
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 Pit. Pit. Pit.
It's gone weird now, Mark.
It has, yes, indeed.
Yep, that put TR2 into the final against whoever would win the next fight, which was between Big Nipper and Dantomkia.
Yeah. And that was actually a really competitive, even fight. Even though Dantomkia at the end was getting more dominant, it was quite surprising.
Yeah, so like you say, Dantomkia was, they got the flips in again on Big Nipper. Big Nipper put on their spinning disc again. And, well, Dantomkia was continuing that reign of flips, just kept on the attack. And, you know, there's quite a few stylish flips in there, just watching Big Nipper, 110 kilos of robot somersault in the air.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, actually.
And Dantomkia got Big Nipper, shoved them into Secure Lock CPZ again. Secure Lock picked them up and, again, put them over the flame pit. And then Secure Lock got stuck on the arena wall.
Oh, yeah, that was actually quite funny. He got stuck, couldn't move or anything. I was just like,
so
is Secure Lock all right? It's just like, he was stuck to the wall. I was like, ah.
So
I thought it was really funny, actually.
Big Nipper, yep, they couldn't really get in the attacks. Dantomkia, again, you know, that was the first judge's decision.
Of the whole episode was really interesting, actually.
But Big Nipper did come in very late with another attack with their disc. They knocked something off Dantomkia, but
yeah, it wasn't
that
enough.
wasn't enough.
And then unanimous decision.
Dantomkia
won.
Dantomkia did win that one, which then brought us on to the final fight, which was
a lot more even. This fight was compared to the first one they had. This one, at some points, I actually thought TR2 was going to lose. Actually,
when I watched this on Sunday night, my heart was in my throat. I really wanted Dantomkia to win this.
And also because of considering last week just how 4 dominated and then 4 lost in the final, I thought this is going to be another thing. So I was like expecting there to potentially be an upset, but at the same time, if TR2 did win, I wouldn't be surprised either because of just how dominant and just how amazing and just how tough and stuff that TR2 actually was.
Yeah, Dantomkia, they got flipped again by TR2. Again, this is like a grudge match from the earlier fight. But TR2 still on top, still reigning supreme. Matilda came up to Dantomkia. He got a few swipes on with
with her saw.
With her spinning flywheel. Both of them got flipped by the floor flipper.
Didn't they? Both of them. That was crazy.
TR2 came off better in that, but completely knocked Dantomkia upside down. And again, like last time, they lost pressure in their cylinders. And no gas running through them rams, and they were upside down. And they were gone.
Yep.
Which was a shame, because I really liked Dantomkia. I wanted Dantomkia to win that. I wanted it to be a surprise win like the other week with Thor versus Shockwave. But no, TR2 completely dominated that.
Yeah, completely
fight.
dominated. Destroyed
no losses.
Every single... and even though not having a weapon, still
in
impressive
that first fight.
That still would win.
In that first fight, they didn't have a weapon, did they?
Not at all.
So, yeah, TR2, could they go all the way on that?
Too early to tell. I reckon when you have the other episodes, we should do like a mini episode and decide who you reckon's going to win, because even though Shockwave did pretty good and Carbide, even though those two did really well, TR2 did really well as well, but I never know, mate. You never know. On their day, if the weapons actually work, then anyone could potentially win, I reckon.
I still think Carbide is... If they can get their weapon working for as good as it was for the grand final, Carbide might be able to. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, we have to wait and see.
But we've got quite a diverse range of robots for the final. We've got a flipper, definitely. We've got a spinning weapon, and we've got a
weird kind of flipper.
Yeah, like a ram bot, isn't it? Shockwave's very fast and very low. So yeah, very, very mixed up. Very
really mixed up. Wasn't it? Really interesting as well.
So yeah, I didn't think that this episode was as destructive as like previous episodes. Like we saw Mr. Speed Squared doing quite a lot of damage, and the fight before that, the week before.
But then again, Jimmy, you can't forget we had the wood.
We did. We had the wood. The wooden robot.
We had like we had the closet, the table thing. It was great.
The cabinet entered into Robot Wars, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yes, that was so funny. Good old Daro.
But that kind of brought out the more tactical sort of fights.
Yeah.
So rather than all-out destruction, this was more thought through and more. Rather than all-out assaults, it was more contemplated, and the tactics were definitely there. And in the end, TR2 won that. Yeah. And it worked in their favour.
Completely did. Crazy.
Do you want an update on my robot?
Yeah, go on.
I've got in the post this morning 6 little servos. They're little 9-gram ones. They're about the size of, I don't know, how big would you say that is? That's probably
like maybe less than an inch, maybe a quarter inch.
I wouldn't say. They're not very big.
Centimetres?
I know you can't see this, but I'll try and put on
They're
one
quite
of the...
small.
They are quite small. Put on one of the servo horns. And you'll be able to hear it. So that's the motor spinning. And what I'm going to do is, because it only spins 180 degrees, I'm going to modify it to do the full 360 degrees, and then I'll be able to turn that into basically a wheel motor. And it's very small. I don't know how I'm going to mount it onto wood. I might have to change my idea and mount it onto something like plastic or acrylic, but
I reckon maybe go for that.
But it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm getting the parts.
And he's also got a controller as well. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Controller, like I said in one of the previous podcasts, I don't know if it works yet, but hopefully, find plans for like simple circuitry, and I can give it a go. Get a few more batteries, and I did a motor test as well when my motors came through. They're really fast, so they definitely work. All 5 of them I got. So I got 5 motors, 6 servos, and the battery cases now. And I'm waiting for some more connectors, some battery eliminator connectors, which I've got one on the end of the servo here in my hand, which plugs into the receiver, so it will turn the electric signal into movement from that. Brackets I've already got, and
you do like a YouTube series of you make out the.
Well, this is I filmed myself testing the motors. I used a bit of paper on the end to show the spinning, and do a. I'm not going to do instructions on it because
you can do a vlog kind of thing. You can do this is my robot now and discussing that sort of stuff.
So I have no idea what I'm doing. I am literally winging building this robot out of a takeaway container. I think I might get some bigger servos as well, because these are actually quite small. I don't know how much power they've got, so I'll test them and see how well they get the wheels moving. Oh, wheels! I've got some wheels coming and some switches.
Oh, nice.
As well, so something to turn it on and off. But no, it's happening. It's definitely happening. If it all goes to pot, then I've definitely got servos, and I've got the controller receiver. Could always make radio-controlled aeroplanes, drones. Because that's what these are for. These are for radio-controlled aeroplanes to move the flaps and the ailerons.
Nice.
So it's definitely happening. So that is the end of episode number 4 we're on, aren't we?
Yep.
Episode number 4.
And we're going to be doing at the end of the series, as we said before, we decided on a name, calling it the Golden Screws. So
Golden Screws. And then we could do like bad robots and call them the Golden Screw-Ups.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Week 4 next week. So Sunday's fight, because this will go up on Saturday, hopefully. So we fight tomorrow. We will have robots. Here we go. Here's my list. We've got one called Apollo, Eruption, Can Opener. Can Opener's very interesting. He's got big pincers as well, kind of like what Big Nipper has.
Mm-hmm.
PP3D is an interesting name. Sabretooth, World Champion Storm 2, so they won the World Championship in 2004?
Nice.
2004? Yeah. Sweeney Todd and the elusive Terror Turtle.
Cool names.
Terror Turtle, yeah. Be aware of the Terror Turtle, but
yeah,
we'll find out about them next week. Anyway, anything to say, Mark?
Yep.
Are we rating these?
What do you want to give it out of 10? I will give it maybe
10 or 5? We've always gone with 5, haven't we?
5. Go 5.
Go 5.
Maybe a 4 out of 5.
You thought it was
4
that good?
really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode.
You really?
Yeah, I did actually. I thought it was very, very good.
I'm going to say 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, again, like
Yeah.
last week. Like, things happen, but I'm still yet. I think there could be a bit more potential out of TR2. I know what they're capable of, and I didn't really see it in the series of fights, but technical issues kind of probably put a din on that. But apart from that, yeah, 3.5.
Really, really well though. So yeah.
And it's just a shame that DantomK.I.A went out, because I really thought they
might go to the.
They might do. They might go to the
as a wild card.
The wild
you never
card,
know.
but only time will tell. So yeah.
Indeed.
Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye, guys. Sayonara.
Cease.
What do you want to say, Mark?
Okay.
He's been building this up for quite a while.
I have, yes. Jimmy, enjoy. Oh, Jimmy, don't you dare be sour. Clap for the greatest podcast in the world. Robot Wars YouTube. Robot Wars. Robot Wars. Robot Wars. Sorry, it was a thing to the new day.
And on that note...